Yeah, I really like that video. I don't see any reason to reinvent the wheel. He does a really good job of going over how to estimate covers, gives you quite a few good tips. So I will move to the next slide. There we go. We make it even easier for you than in the video because we only need you to estimate into the bins. So you don't need to know what the exact number is. It can be helpful to estimate as exactly as possible and use those numbers as a check. So if you estimate 50 and 50 and 30 and 20, but there's not really anything overlapping each other, you did something wrong. So those kind of tricks can be helpful. Plots can be more than 100%. So if you've got a tree that hangs into your plot, that can be 100% right there. And then you have everything else that's underneath that. But it can never be less than 100%. So the way we have it set up, there should be, even if it's just all bare ground, that would be 100% bare ground. A 1% square for just your reference would be 1 meter by 1 meter. So if you know what 1 meter is when you step it off, that can be helpful in like parsing out how much of a thing is in your area. And then it's also can be helpful to divide your big plot into like 4 25 square meter quarters, and then estimate each quarter, and then add up those estimates and divide from there. So if I think one of my quarter is 50% grass and the other is 25% grass, and then another 25, and then a 0, that adds up to 100. I divide by 4, I get roughly 25% grass, which would fall into my 2 bin pretty handily. So we're going from the center of our veg plot in 4 directions. It can be really helpful to walk throughout this whole thing before you start trying to estimate, just to see what's there. Maybe you missed a couple blooming things that were a little hidden by the grass, or you found some water you didn't know about. Fill in the appropriate bubble for the 8 stratotypes. Each row should have a filled bubble for this one. And then the plots can be over 100% full. This is a very, very valid example. But if we had a 0, a 1, a 0, a 1, a 2, a 0, 0, 0, you missed something somewhere. You have a max of like 60 or 70% there. So do check that in the field. So now we're going to go to the very bottom of that page, the management/landscape assessment. Again, walk through your plots. If you know what 5 meters is, you can easily measure out one direction. And then to get to your corner, you just walk 5 meters in a different direction to get to that corner to try and say if something is in or out. For these, I'm not sure if I said, but if especially for this one, it does not have to be rooted in the 100 square meter plot. If a tree is overhanging, that still counts. Whereas the vegetation one, it does need to be rooted in the floral assessment green plot to count. So can overhang, cannot overhang. Walk throughout your management and landscape plot. Record only what you see in the plot. Not every row needs to be filled in for this one. They could all be blank. It is very common for them to all be blank. You have other, you feel free to write in any others that you see. If you need to use more than the 2 I gave you, go for it. What questions do we have on this cover estimate and Landscape variables.
Someone is asking, do edges of both floral plot and habitat squares need to be parallel to the track line of Transect?
No, that's a great question. So it doesn't show up great on here, but so let's say this is the very first one and it's on the transect. Depending on how your plot rope fell, you are opening that plot rope. There's two black marks. You open them directly away from each other. That might be like this. It might be like that. It doesn't matter where the black marks land. You open them apart from each other, and then you make the box around that. So our survey line could have been over here going this way, but because of how the ropes landed, we opened them like this. That gives the most systematic but random way to sample the whole back page.
Great. And just to clarify, this information will be in the packets that you receive, and the video will be up on YouTube for you to rewatch. This is a lot of information, so you can rewatch it as many times as you want.
Now is a good time to say it because I'm thinking of it, but it is going to be tough to do this right on your very first try. It will be way less hard to do it right on your second try. You're gonna probably make a mistake on your very first run, so I would highly encourage you to do a practice run, do everything like it says in the protocols, like I'm telling you now. You can even do it like at your park. You don't have to go to your site, but I would highly encourage you to practice a full run through of everything. If you have questions, you can watch the video or get a hold of me. But yes, practice is helpful for this survey.